Okay, this is very similar to what you have been doing, but there's a key thing here. Okay, we have to factor the expression. We have to find the parentheses that could be multiplied to get this product, 4x second minus 8x plus 3. You're going to need your multiplication chart on this one. I'll explain why you need that later. Now, first off, I underline the three terms, and I see a 4, 8, and 3 have a greatest common factor, okay? Other than the first row. The first row doesn't count, okay? So 4, 8. The only place I see all 4, 8, and 3 is in the first row, okay? So the GCF is 1, okay? I would not have x because there's a 3. Not every number has x. The 3 is a constant. It has no x. So it's not 1x. It's just 1. And it wouldn't be negative because the 4 in the front is positive. So we're not going to be making that GCF box because that happens on all of these problems here. Again, you don't have to worry about the GCF box if you can find a number other than 1, other than the first row if they're all in the same row. And also if they all have x and all that. Okay, so then we're going to set up, we're going to label our coefficients A, B, C, but you notice I don't put the implied 1 because there's already a 4 there. Well, if I don't put the implied 1, you are going to want to make 2 sets of parentheses. Trust me on this, because you can't go x, x, because x times x isn't 4x to the second. Okay, it's just x to the second. I mean, 4x to the second, and I don't write this down, it could be 1x times 4x. It could be 4x times 1x. It could be 2x times 2x. Okay, so there's a bunch of different possibilities. Now, some teachers make you guess and check. Then you have to multiply it out and see if that's what you end up with back there. I'm not going to make you do that. Okay, I got a more efficient strategy. So I do the same old thing with the table. I take the A times the C. Positive 4 times positive 3 is positive 12. So negative, negative. And we're going to add to try to come to negative 8. So I put a 1 there. Remember, I'm dividing into the 12. Okay, so 12 divided by 1 is 12. And then I add those. Negative 1 plus negative 12 is going to be, it's not negative, that's wrong, okay? Put them again. Now, if I put a 2 there, I'm not going to because I don't have a, well, I can use my pencil, I guess. So I'll put a 2 there. And I'll take 12 divided by 2. That's 6. Now add those. Negative 8 is right. Okay, we have it. Now, here's where we have to change it up. Remember, you can't go x minus 2x minus 6. That's not even possible because you have a 4x second. So what you're going to do is, whatever the a is, that a up there, and I'm going to put a equals 4. You're going to lead off each parentheses with a 4. Okay? And then you're going to put x, x, like yesterday, and then minus 2, minus 6. Now, we know this is wrong, too, because if I take 4x times 4x, and this is, don't write that down, that's going to be 16, and x times x is x to the second. We don't have 16x to the second. We only have 4x to the second. So now what I do is I underline these, and I'm looking to divide 4 and 2 by their greatest common factor. 4 and 2 are both in the second row, so we're going to divide those by 2. And that's 2x minus 1. 4 and 6, okay? 4 and no, there's no 6 there, so it's not the fourth row. There's 4 and 6, so 2. So we'll divide those by 2, and that's 2x minus 3. After you divide down, you want to cross the top one out because this is your answer right there. Okay? Now, you don't have to write this next part down, but I'm proving you why that trick works, okay? I'm going to multiply that out and see if I end up with 4x to the second plus minus 8x plus 3. So I go 2x times 2x, 2x times negative 3, negative 1 times 2x, and then negative 1 times negative 3. So it's going to be 4x to the second. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6x. and then negative 2x, and then positive 3. Now we combine those. We have our 4x to the second. Negative 6 plus negative 2 is negative 8, so I write minus 8x and then plus 3. Now, as you can clearly see, that matches up with what I started with. Now, you don't have to do this part here. You just have to, the 2 parentheses is your answer. Okay, now the next one. Again, the GCF is always going to be 1, so we're going to skip that step. Okay, we'll have to use it again, but not on this assignment here. So make your table. And again, if you don't have the implied 1, okay, if you didn't put the implied 1 there, you're going to make 2 sets of parentheses because that means you can't just go x. There's got to be something in front of the x's to get 4x to the second. So 4 times positive 3 is positive 12, negative, negative. So I divide. Now I'm going to use a pencil. I'm going to put 1. 12 divided by 1 is 12. And you're trying to add to get that to positive 7. So it's really just that one extra step. That doesn't work. Okay. Put a 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Negative 2 plus negative 6 is negative 8. Okay, that's not it. 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now I add those, so I go negative 3 plus negative 4. Now I have the right number but the wrong sign. That means I just make these both into positives. Okay. Now again, you don't go x plus 3, x plus 4. That's wrong because it's not x, it's 4x to the second. So we're going to start with 4 and 4, and then x, and then your plus 3 and your plus 4. Okay, so 4 and 3, the only row those appear in is the first row. So I divide those by 1, and that's going to stay 4x plus 3. Now, if they're the same number, 4 and 4, you're going to divide by 4, okay? So that's going to be 1x plus 1. So there we have it, 4x plus 3 times 1x plus 1. And if that will multiply out into this, I guarantee you. If you did it right and it doesn't, I'll buy you a car. Okay, 6x to the second minus 23x plus 20. Again, I'm going to skip the GCF because you won't be able to find 6, 23, and 20 in the same row here. Okay, they would be in the first row, 6, 20, and later there'd be a 23. So I don't need to worry about the GCF here on this assignment. So I make that table. And I got to remember, okay, it's not. I did not put the implied 1 there. So if I didn't put the implied 1, we're going to make 2 sets of parentheses. And you might as well just start with 6 and 6 because it's 6. If you want to put x and x, that's fine too. Now, you take this one's terrible. You take 6 times 20, that's 120. And that is positive. So again, positive will mean these are both negative. And divide 1 and 120, and we're trying to add to get to negative 23, same as before. Negative 1 plus negative 120, no. Negative 2, negative. So I take 120 divided by 2, I get 60. So I go negative 2 plus negative 60, no. Then I put 3. Get the signs down. So 120 divided by 3 is 40. So I go negative 3 plus negative 40. Now you can see yourself getting closer to 23 at least. Okay, 4. 120 divided by negative 4 is negative 30. Nope. Negative, not 5, and negative. So I divide 120 by 5. That's going to be 24. Okay, negative 5 plus negative 24 is negative 29. Remember, we're negative 6. Remember, I told you this wasn't going to be fun. Okay. Okay, so 120 divided by 6 is 20, so put 20 and then add negative 6 plus negative 20. It's negative 26, okay, still not down to negative 23. Now I go 7, I'll just go over here, negative, negative. I got a decimal on 7, so I'm going to just put that as 8. And I take 120 divided by 8. It's 15. Now I'm going to add those two. And then negative 8 plus negative 15 is negative 23. I finally found it. Okay, so that's what we go with. So we're going to put minus 8 and minus 15. Then we go to our multiplication chart. And the lowest row down that 6 and 8 are both in would be the second row, which is 2. So I divide by 2, and that's 3x minus 4. Okay, then 6 and 15. 6, but no 15. So where else we sit? Oh, there is a 15 there. So in the third row, so we need to divide by 3. So it's 2x minus 5. This is the answer here, 3x minus. This is a stepping. The first set of parentheses is just a step to get to the last part. Because if you look at that, you know 3x times 2x will be 6x. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x to the second. And also at the end, negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. Okay, next up. So make your table. Now again, when you set up your parentheses, your A is no longer that implied 1, so you're going to need to set up 2 of them. And you're going to start it off with 8x, 8x. So you're just going to start with 8's in front of your x's. Now that's going to change, and it has to, because 8 times 8 is 64. X times x squared. We don't have 64x squared. Okay, so I take 8 times positive 3. We got another positive. Okay. I'm trying to add to get to negative 14. So if I divide by 1, it's 24. But that, when I add that, it's negative 25. Negative, negative. When I divide 24 by 2, I get 12. Okay, I think that looks pretty like it might be it. Okay, negative 14. Got it. Right number, right sign. So I go here, I go minus 2, minus 12. Okay, so 8 and 2, so here's 2. There's an 8 there, so we want to divide that by 2. And that becomes 4x minus 1. Now 8 and 12. Now I realize there's an 8 and 12 in the second row, but further down there's an 8 and a 12 in the fourth row. We got to divide by 4 then. So it's going to be 2x minus 3. So 4x minus 1 times 2x minus 3. It's factoring made easy. Okay. Got to do 2 more. Again, the GCF is not worth doing because 2, 13, and 24 are only going to be in the first row. Every number would be in the first row if it went on forever. Okay. So we're not going to do the GCF. We're going to make the table. And then the 2 parentheses. But A, I can't go XX because the A does not have that implied 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go 2, 2, XX. And we'll fill in the rest from our table, ABC. So 2 times negative 24 is negative 48. So now that I have a negative, okay, I have to have a positive times a negative. So divide by 1, you get 48. Remember what you're trying to add it to. You're trying to add it to negative 13. So 1 plus negative 48, no. Positive, negative, put a 2. 48 divided by 2 is 24. Then add, no. Divide by 3, negative, you get 8. Keep the signs the same. No, I did that wrong. 48 divided by 3 is 16. My bad. It's 16. So I take 3 plus negative 16, and I got it. Negative 13, negative 13. So that's what I want to go with. Plus 3 minus 16. Now look at your 2 and your 3. They're only in the first row, so we'll divide by 1, but it just stays the same. That's why dividing by 1 is silly. 2 and 16 both appear in the second row, so we'll be dividing that by 2. That's going to be 1x minus 8. So 2x plus 3 times 1x minus 8. Okay, last one again. 6, 7, and 5 are only together in the first row. Okay, so GCF's 1. I don't make that GCF box. I make that table. And I make my parentheses, but x doesn't make any sense because we don't have an implied 1. We have an implied 6. So I make 2 more, and I go 6x, 6x. Okay, I go A, B, C. You got to have faith in the process that those are not going to stay both 6x's. So 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Okay. So we need a positive and a negative, and I need the factors to add to positive 7. Divide by 1, you get 30. That's negative 29. Positive, negative. If we divide it by 2, 30 divided by 2 is 15. That's negative 13. If you divide by 3, you get 10. Okay, so I go 3 plus negative 10 is negative. Okay, it's the right number, but the wrong sign. So we'll just have these switch places. Plus, negative. Now you're at positive 7. So minus 3 plus 10. So 6 and 3 both appear in the third row. So we're going to divide by 3. That's going to be 2x minus 1. 6 and 10, well, they're not in that row. There's no 10 there. 6 here, and there's a 10, so the second row. It's going to be 3x plus 5. Okay, now you can cross out the 2 examples on the back side, and you just go work on the assignment. Okay, I think you'll be okay with this. Okay, now at the 1730 point, this is going to be real simple. You have an equation, you don't need to solve it though. You just need to set it equal to 0, okay? So if you're not equal to 0, you're going to put equal 0 yourself, and you're going to go blank x second plus blank x plus blank. Okay, now make sure all your letters have numbers in front. Now, the side that doesn't have the x to the second, that's the side you're going to get rid of stuff. So at negative 8x, I plus 8x. And then I plus 8x to the negative 15x, because those are like terms. Neither of them have a power. And then minus 10, you're going to plus 10. Now 10 doesn't have an x, so we can't put it with the x to the second. We can't put it with these because they have x's, and I just put plus 10 there. Okay, so now you're ready to go. X second, you got a 1. For x, you take negative 15 plus 8. If the top number has a minus, it starts in a negative, then you add 8. So negative 7x, and then 10. Okay, now okay, next problem. Equals 0. Just put it down here so you got workspace. Okay, now again, the side without the x to the second is one we're going to clear. So plus 13x. Now that wouldn't go with x to the second. It wouldn't go with 8. It would just hang out here. And then minus 6. Now 6 doesn't have an x, so it can't go here, but it would go with negative 8. So for x second, I got 1. And then for x, I got that 13 there. And then I take negative 8 minus 6. That's going to be negative 14. It always has to be written like that. Okay, my next one. This goes pretty quickly. Equals 0. None of these equal 0. They would all have to be set equal to 0 to solve them because they have x second and they have the x not to the second. Okay, so the only number over here on the side without the x to the second is negative 12. So I'll plus 12. And I wouldn't plus it to 1 because it's got x squared. 13 to x, and then the 24. I can go with 24. So now I'm at 1, 13, 24 plus 12 is 36. Okay, next one. Blank x second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. Okay. Okay, so you get a minus 18, but I can't minus it here or here, so I put it at the end. Okay, so for x second, I got 1, because now you have 0 on that side. Negative 7, and then negative 18. See, and that's how that works. Okay, flip it over, and we'll keep on rolling. Okay. So blank x second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. Okay, so we want to get rid of the side minus 28x, but you can't subtract it from 14 because that has x to the second. So minus 28x, and that's it. Now you have 0. So you got 14, negative 28. Now you don't have any numbers without x, so you delete that space, and it's 14x to the second plus negative 28x. Okay, same thing on this one. Blank x second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. So the side that without the opposite side of the x to the second, so one we have to get to 0 by adding 10x and putting that after. Okay, so you have negative 5, and then you have 10. Then we don't have any constant terms, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. So there's the equation. That's all you do on this, okay? I'll do 2 more, and then I'm going to cross out the other pages. Equals 0, blank x second plus blank x plus blank. Okay, so I want 0 on that side, so I got negative 15x. I'll add 15x. And that can't be added to x to the second. It also can't be added to the 1, so I put it behind everything. Now, x second, we have negative 16. X, we got the 15x, positive. And then numbers without x, we got the negative 1. Really not a hard process. Okay, I want that side to 0, so I subtract 9. And then I subtract 9 after everything, because it can't be subtracted from that, so I put it at the end. So I got 8, 6, negative 9. I think you kind of get the hint of how that's going to work, okay? So we're going to get rid of these, and you're good to go.